What's cracking, y'all? It's me, Quin, the movie guy here, and you want to know what my favorite pastime is? Death. It's inevitable, and the escape is absolutely impossible. Well, for the fear, well, that whole part's up to you. Personally, for me, I don't fear it because I know that someone or anyone has to eventually face it head on. As a matter of fact, the average life expectancy of a human male is roughly around the age of 73. Well, for Tom Cruise, you can forget all about that expectancy because the amount of stuff that this guy does in this movie not only challenges the inevitability of death, but the impossibility of how this guy is still alive and well to this very day.
Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Ooh, a two-part finale, I see. Never mind. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. A two-part story to, something. This marks the 7th installment of the Mission Impossible franchise, and stars none other than Tom Cruise along with the newest addition to the cast, Haley Atwell. The film follows Ethan Hunt and his IMF team tracking down a terrifying new weapon that threatens all of humanity before it falls into the wrong hands. With control of the future and the fate of the world at stake, and confronted by a mysterious and all-powerful enemy, Ethan is forced to consider that nothing can matter more than his mission. Not even the lives of those he cares about the most. I absolutely love the Mission Impossible movies. As far as I can remember, Ghost Protocol was my very first exposure to the world of the IMF, and I loved that film as well. As soon as I watched Protocol, I really wanted to delve deeper into this world and what makes this franchise stand out from among the James Bonds and the John McClanes. And to the surprise of absolutely nobody, I did watch those previous films, and I gotta say that they don't miss. They don't ever miss.
And without much hesitation, I can very much say that Dead Reckoning Part 1 is easily one of the greatest films of this year so far, and if not, one of the greatest action films ever made. The bar that Tom Cruise's crew... oh, that's a bit of a tongue twister. The bar that Tom Cruise and his crew set up could very much reach the level of fucking Mount Everest. And they definitely showed no mercy when it comes to the entertainment factor. This franchise has proven time and time again that it will never, and I mean never, feel oversaturated. There's a term going around town called sequelitis, and according to Google, it is defined by the tendency of a well-received work to spawn many inferior sequels. Right now, there are only 2 successful film franchises that steer away from being able to be inflicted with this illness. There's the John Wick franchise, and of course, there's the Mission Impossible franchise. I remember prior to seeing Dead Reckoning Part 1, the theater, specifically the IMAX theaters, they would always roll out a sneak peek of the filming and stunt process. And even though I have seen this sneak peek countless of times, I could never grow tired of it, because at the end of the day, is that one line that Tom Cruise said that will forever stay with me.
It all comes down to one thing: the audience.
I can confidently say that I am envious of the amount of balls this man has in order to construct, plan out, and execute each and every stunt work in this movie. This is unprecedented shit right here. Not unless you count the amount of injuries that Jackie Chan has suffered by doing various amounts of stunts throughout his career. And speaking of that, Tom Cruise could very much be identified as the Jackie Chan of our generation, because if all we know, there is no telling what this man is capable of doing next. Apparently, he's going to be signing on for a film which will be filmed entirely in outer space. Outer fucking space.
He is dedicated, and he did a tremendous job, both behind and in front of the camera as Ethan Hunt. Of course, the main issue that I have with this franchise is that it tends to steer away from making its villains memorable both by name and personality. I dare y'all right now, at the top of your head, without checking Google, tell me the first name of the villain from any film of the franchise over the years. Come on, you can do it. What's the problem? Can't name one? Good, because so can I.
The villain in Dead Reckoning Part 1, however, is an unexpected one because it is not necessarily an organization or a person for that matter. Ladies and gentlemen, it's fucking technology. Artificial intelligence, to be precise. Now, spy movies and technology go hand in hand together. It's like cookies and milk. For this movie, the villain comes in the form of a self-aware yet rogue AI whose sole purpose is to be weaponized for the means of either good or evil. Now, in order to be able to weaponize this AI, people will have to acquire 2 halves of a key. And what's a Mission Impossible movie without people risking their lives over a key? Wait, I've seen this movie before. Regardless, even though this villain is more or less lurking in the crypts of cyberspace, we cannot help but feel genuine fear for our heroes because this little shit can pretty much sabotage everything and anything connected via technology. And this in turn could result in catastrophic outcomes for the plot moving forward. That's another thing. Even though it is confirmed that this two-part story doesn't necessarily mean the end of the franchise, I cannot help but feel like it's setting up a big finale of some sorts, because this rogue AI is relentless, and no matter how many fancy schmancy gadgets Ethan and the team can whip out, it is always one step ahead of them. And I fucking love it, because every time a shot would pan out to focus on another member of the team, there is no way in hell that you could convince me that that member is making it out alive. No one is safe, not even my taxes. Now, let's talk about some of the newest additions to the cast, starting with Haley Atwell. She was brilliant in this movie. Dare I say even more likable than Rebecca Ferguson's character. I was really expecting to find her that one annoying damsel in distress, but no, like everything else in this movie, expectations are meant to be blown over to the side, and her character, surprisingly, has a great amount of depth. The moment she stepped into frame, her character's chemistry with Cruz is all the more delightful to watch, especially with the amount of tension that unfolds early on towards the third act. There is one scene in particular that made me get a genuine chuckle out of my mouth, and without going into too much plot details, it involves her and Tom Cruise handcuffed together and a very exhilarating car chase scene involving each of them trying their very best to maintain some level of control with the car itself. It is absolutely both a riveting and hilarious scene, and I gotta give credit where credit is due when it comes to the amount of prep work that goes into it. Up next is Isai Morales, the movie's new big bad Gabriel. Now, as I stated earlier, this franchise is not particularly fond of cementing their villains as genuinely memorable characters, but I guess they finally broke the mold with this guy. That's not to say that his role in the movie is something comparable to Heath Ledger's Joker or Christoph Waltz's Blofeld. He is there in the movie. He's a very bad man with a particular set of skills. Terrorism. He's a force to be reckoned with, yes, but it's not that grandiose in comparison to the rogue AI, who's genuinely more of a threat to everyone else rather than him. Either way, he still delivered in this movie. Pomme Clementieff, better known in the industry as Mantis, plays a French assassin who works for the bad man. People are going to occasionally brush her performance over to the side, but not to me. I thought she did a phenomenal job despite the limited amount of material that she had to work with. It's pretty much her first major project outside of the MCU, and the moment she stepped into frame, I was immediately mesmerized by not just her appearance, but the amount of hidden details that we may or may not still not know about her past.
Dead Reckoning Part 1, the Part 1 in particular, is synonymous with the term cliffhanger, and I knew that going in that this movie was the beginning of the end for the franchise and for Ethan Hawke's character as a whole. And now with the full knowledge that Cruise wants to make these movies until he reaches the age of 80, I'd say fuck it, make 10 more of these, as long as it doesn't lose the amount of sheer quality and dedication that the franchise has always been known for years. And now, walking out of Dead Reckoning Part 1, I can very much say that the audience will be very surprised by the film's ending. It's not on Across the Spider-Verse where you go, man, when things were about to get good, now I gotta wait for what happens next, and it's gonna take a year. With Dead Reckoning Part 1, it's different. And without going into spoiler territory, here's a clip of Keanu Reeves from the John Wick 3 premiere.
I love movies. Gosh, I love movies. I love watching them, and I love making them.
Overall, Dead Reckoning Part 1 is a love letter to the movie-going experience. And with what Tom Cruise has said earlier, he holds that phrase to a T. It's always about us at the end of the day. The audience. This man, the cast, and the crew continue to defy all of our expectations. The sheer amount of adrenaline that this chapter pumps out is easily comparable to a treadmill going apeshit. The only difference is, you keep running. Why? Because you embrace that adrenaline, baby! God damn, I love watching movies. I wonder what else I should be expecting in the realm of cinema. Oh. Okay. Abolish Hollywood. Support writers.